Euromaxx highlights. Coming up on the show, string success. Young violinist Elin Kolev is set to play New York's Carnegie Hall. Colourful Creations. Thi Cong Quach is a Hamburg-based interior designer. Fine foods. The Rheingau Gourmet Festival is a mecca for lovers of culinary masterpieces. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
Hello and welcome to the show. Karl Lagerfeld is probably the most famous fashion designer around today. He's certainly the most recognizable. He emigrated to Paris from Germany 55 years ago and has been working in the fashion business ever since. Now in his 70s, he shows no signs of slowing down. Indeed, at his latest fashion shows in Paris, he reveals that he's involved in everything down to the last detail.
The traditional and elegant Grand Palais in the French capital is the perfect setting for a Chanel show, attended by the likes of models Kate Moss and Claudia Schiffer.
Chanel is such a fabulous label. I've been a fan for years. It's become a lot hipper and more modern thanks to Karl Lagerfeld. And I'm sure that's why it's so successful today. I'm always happy to come along and show my appreciation. And of course, to see the collection.
For Chanel's latest autumn-winter collection, the German designer Karl Lagerfeld dressed his models predominantly in black and white, with plenty of beribboned cuffs, boater hats, bodysuits, graphic patterns, and even the odd flash of green and baby pink. Needless to say, his creativity wasn't restricted to the clothes. There's a lot more to Lagerfeld than that.
I do everything. The decor, I do it all. Afterwards, I can read about what everyone else was doing in the paper or see it on TV, but really, I'm only interested in what I myself am doing. I would never let anyone else do the decor for my shows. That would bore me.
Karl Lagerfeld certainly has a broad range of interests. One of them is music, and his show featured British band Metronomy playing live. While models sashay down the catwalk in furry motorbike helmets fitted with headphones. Other smart ideas included these dresses worn over trousers and evening wear resembling uniforms. Karl Lagerfeld is a label unto its own and has little in common with Chanel. Lagerfeld enjoys the challenge of designing collections that are all completely different.
I don't sit down and decide I'll design a collection. I improvise a lot, but being professional, I know how to improvise constructively. It depends on the atmosphere, the situation, my character, and on how much of myself I put into the collection. I don't use much from outside, but it can't be analyzed, and I don't even want to analyze it. It all depends on chance and intuition. It defies analysis.
Chanel remains the most high-profile of Karl Lagerfeld's collections. He's been with Chanel for over 20 years, and his bows at the end of his shows never fail to get an ecstatic reception.
From a man with a career that seems to go on forever to a young violinist who's just starting out. 12-year-old Elin Kolev recently won a competition which includes performing in one of the most famous concert halls in the world. We met up with him practicing for the great day.
The city of Zwickau in the state of Saxony, home to violinist Elin Kolev. Once school's out, it's time for him to concentrate on his music. He's been practicing the violin every day of the week for around 7 years now. Soon, he'll be performing in New York's famous Carnegie Hall.
Of course, I was really taken aback to start with. And then I thought, if I'm given such an honor, I'll be doing a lot more concerts, and that means I need to practice even more.
Elin takes lessons from his father Marian. He and his wife originally came from Bulgaria and are both professional violinists. By the age of 5, Elin was sure his future also lay with the violin.
The first violin I ever held belonged to my father. I just picked it up, and back then I had a little yellow chair, and I sat down on it and started to scratch out some notes on the violin, hoping it would sound good.
The young musician spends at least 3 hours a day practicing the violin, and even more at the moment, as the concert at Carnegie Hall approaches. Elin has already mapped out the big day.
I think I'll wake up around 6 in the morning, because I'll be a bit nervous. Then I'll have breakfast and do some keep fit exercises, and then I'll start practicing the violin. After lunch, I'll practice some more, and perhaps there'll be time for a short walk. And then we'll head off to Carnegie Hall.
Father and son are preparing 5 major works for the concert, including one by Paganini, which is notoriously difficult. Sometimes the two musicians disagree on exactly how it should be played.
If we get to a difficult piece and he hasn't yet mastered it, I have to persuade him to get down to work. But if he has learned a piece properly and enjoys playing it, and he has a goal, then we both start enjoying it more.
Sometimes we disagree, but things never get out of hand.
Besides going to school, doing his homework, and taking time out, Elin also has to find time for the press. That's why he and his parents have decided to consult a PR advisor. They sit down to plan a website and choose the right autograph pictures. Elin is determined to have his say.
I think it's important because I don't want to be portrayed in a way I don't agree with. I think it's very important to have my own personality, and I don't want someone else laying down the rules, because it might not reflect who I am.
The young violinist ends the day with a rehearsal at the music conservatory. This is where Elin started his studies and is preparing for the concert. Despite the many hours of practicing, Elin Kolev still enjoys playing the violin. And when he feels like a change, he pretends it's a guitar.
The Dutch artist Irma Bohm has designed some of the most beautiful books to have been published in the last decade. Bohm always takes care that her designs enhance any text in a book, but they all offer a lot more than reading pleasure. They are a feast for the eyes and works of art in their own right.
A book of photos about the American textile artist Sheila Hicks, designed by Irma Bohm. At the 2007 Leipzig Book Fair, it was awarded a prize for being the world's most beautiful book. The pages are frayed at the edges, like the textile artist's fabrics. One of Irma Bohm's current projects is a photo book for the Museum of Modern Art in The Hague. The photos of the works of art are arranged by color, an idea of Bohm's.
All the things I do come from the subject itself. I don't add so much things to it or to upgrade something. I work with the ingredients which comes from the subject.
Bohm designs more than 50 books each year. Her first step is to decide on the size, form, and weight of the book.
That's for me the sort of tactility and the book as an object and to have in your hands is for me very important. So that's for me it's important to make models with different paper stocks so that I can easily choose or cut them and make them to the size I want to have them.
Irma Bohm studied graphic design. She's usually in the middle of about 15 different book projects at once. A design takes at least 2 months to complete, but it can also take several years.
They hardly come to me, this is what we want, here are the pictures and there's the text. That never happens. It's always from the very, very, very start, we want to have a book.
Some of her works are on exhibit in museums like New York's Museum of Modern Art. In 2001, Irma Bohm was awarded the city of Leipzig's Gutenberg Prize for her life's work. The Stiftung Buchkunst, or German Foundation for Book Art, selected one of her architecture photo books as the most beautiful German book of 2006. When Irma Bohm is let loose, even company reports become works of art. Bohm set up her studio in Amsterdam in 1991. She takes inspiration for her work from the city's many small bookstores. And the stores also sell books she's designed.
It's like going to an exhibition. This is also an exhibition of books for me. It's exactly the same, but you try to help people to choose your book, of course.
With books, content ultimately counts as much as a beautiful exterior. Irma Bohm wants people to read her books, not just put them on a shelf. People should enjoy the text as well as the design.
Beautiful books. Thi Cong Quach arrived here in Germany with his parents from Vietnam when he was a small boy with little more than the clothes on his back. Now he's one of this country's busiest interior designers, working on many projects simultaneously. Sometimes he tries out his latest creations in his different showrooms in Hamburg or at home, which is a kind of laboratory for all his ideas.
3 very different design stores on a Hamburg shopping street. But all 3 belong to interior designer Thi Cong Kwon.
Welcome to Thi Cong's world.
The first store currently resembles a French cafe. As well as choosing new furniture, customers can also sip tea, coffee, or even champagne. Thi Cong Quach sells a wide range of furniture and interior design objects in his stores, but he's also a much sought-after stylist and interior designer. He gives clients advice on how to create their perfect homes.
The most important thing about home design is to let each room tell a story. Any flower shop owner can decorate a room, but that's not what I aim to do. I want a room to tell people a story when they enter it, to let them know where they are, to give them a certain sense of feeling and purpose when they're in the room. I want to move people emotionally. Reaching out to people emotionally is my foremost aim.
His work may be very versatile, but it also carries his own personal signature. Classical elegance, which exudes the spirit of our times, is repeatedly translated into new forms and items. Store number 2, the Beach House. At the moment, it's decked out in turquoise and white. Some of the furniture items on offer here are one-off designs. The designer likes to add personal touches, like a photo of himself and his mother from his childhood. His third store is the so-called New York apartment, where you'll find some unusual items like a table lamp made partly from buffalo horn, or thick upholstery fabric, which can also serve as wall covering. Time to change locations yet again.
This is our show apartment in the Docklands area.
The interior designer shows what a luxury open-plan apartment in this very upmarket district of Hamburg can look like. It also gives him an added opportunity to present his style of interior design to interested customers away from his 3 city stores. The theme of this apartment is New York in the 1950s, with a modern twist. Next, we visit Thi Cong Quach's private apartment. It has stayed pretty much the same for the past 26 years, perhaps because he devotes all of his time to interior design beyond his own 4 walls.
I've lived here since I was a student, and I've never moved since. This apartment taught me to make the most of what you have and not daydream about what you could have.
With just 60 square meters of living space, some innovative ideas are called for. Thi Cong Quach built kitchen shelves into a window, and the hall ceiling looks higher thanks to the indirect lighting.
I also regard my flat as a laboratory, somewhere to experiment, where I try out things for customers. This is a wall covering made of pure silk, and covering these walls is of course a huge undertaking. You can't try that out in a furniture store. It would be a waste to tear it down after 3 months.
Thi Cong Quach is a talented designer who lives for his profession. His motto, freely adapted from Karl Lagerfeld, is, "You have to have style before you can afford it."
That's true. Every year for 2 weeks in March, the Rheingau area in southwest Germany plays host to some of the world's keenest gourmets, catered for by some of the world's top chefs. The region is best known for its wines, and local ones compete with other vintages from around the world in complementing the culinary delights on offer.
Gourmets from around the world have arrived at the restaurant Kronenschlösschen in Eltville-Hackenheim. They're here to sample cuisine prepared by some of the best chefs in the world. In this case, from France, from Sweden, and from Britain. 2-starred chef Jean-François Piège is attending the Rheingau Festival for the first time. He's taking the opportunity to watch a few workshops and listens closely to a lecture given by Hans Ulrich on the subject of wine. The event's organizer and owner of the Kronenschlösschen has invited some of the world's best vintners to present their wines here in Rheingau. Right now, Hendrik Thoma has an important job to do. He's choosing wines for the World Rarities Dinner. The haute cuisine menu, costing 1,500 euros, is one of the highlights of the event.
We're starting with Poker Face, Termancia, Schaefer Hillside Select, a Landon from der Côte Rôtie, 88. These are the sort of wines that dreams are made of.
A bottle of Côte Rôtie La Landon from 1988 costs more than 1,000 euros. Even for this experienced sommelier, it's pretty special. Hendrik Thoma enjoys debating wines with Jean-François Piège, and they're both committed to finding the perfect match for the chef's menu. Choosing the right wine for a meal is a fine art.
It's not a contest, it's a marriage. Together, the wine and the food need to be a joy. You mustn't compare them, you must simply enjoy them.
Tonight, Jean-François Piège will be dishing up wild lobster with curry and duck foie gras. Patrick Kimpel, the German chef at the Kronenschlösschen, is serving breast of pigeon crepinette, while Mark Foch is preparing a fillet of scorpionfish. It's an eclectic mix of styles, but the guests seem happy.
Normally, you have to travel halfway around the world to meet such people, but here, the world comes to you.
This is a wonderful place to come and talk shop with like-minded people. It's lovely. It's not at all anonymous or lonely. A gourmet's life can be lonely. Sometimes you really feel you're out on a limb, but here you're with others who think like you do.
Something else gourmets have in common, they like to express their approval. It's one way to motivate the chefs.
It's very simple. The secret is to share your heart's desire with others. Cooking is an expression of love. You have to be able to love. A great meal is one shared with good company somewhere where you feel at ease. And when you leave, you should have a smile on your face.
The Gourmet Festival in Rheingau checks off all these boxes. 2 weeks of eating, drinking and enjoying life.
And if you're interested in seeing any of those reports again, you'll find some of them on YouTube under Deutsche Welle English, all one word. That's it. Bye-bye for now.